and welcome to Quantum Waves of Wellness. This is Dr. Paula Apro, broadcasting one last time from my special spot in Playa del Carmen, and I hope you're ready for my best story from the Mexican Riviera. This year, I had the most amazing experience here because I did something that I never dreamt I would ever participate in. There were many situations going on in my life at the start of this new year that seemed to push me into a life-changing experience known as a Temazcal ceremony. If you're at all interested in this world of energy, and I can only assume you are if you're listening to this podcast, you most likely have heard about how 2025 is destined to be a very powerful year of awakening, and I'm really starting to believe it. There are so many astrological events taking place this year that are promising to expand our consciousness. Now, I'm not an astrologer and I'm not going to pretend to know what this actually means, but I am going to share a wild ride that I recently took during this ceremony that catapulted me into higher levels of self-awareness and inner power. I felt like I was at an unusually low point in my life where I was becoming filled with self-doubt and uncertainty. In my previous posts, I mentioned the fact that I was facing my insecurities and weaknesses and trying to uncover the root cause of them. I knew I had a lot of repressed pain and trauma inside, and I didn't understand nor know how to process it. The fact is that I do a lot of energetic work on myself, but truth be told, my bioenergetic scans always show that my aura remains weak, and I still have deeply repressed chronic emotional stress. What's a girl to do? I figured if I just kept at it, I would eventually crack my shell and begin to heal. Well, during this trip to Mexico, I stepped into the granddaddy of all nutcrackers, and I truly believe my life will forever be changed. So what on earth is a Temazcal ceremony? All I knew going in was that it was some kind of ancestral healing, performed by a shaman, in a sweat lodge type of setting. I purposefully didn't do any research to prepare myself for this. I 100% trusted that if my intuition urged me to do this, it was clearly meant for me at this time. At the start of this ceremony, the English translator's first words were, and I quote, "This experience is designed to be uncomfortable." Well, that was the biggest understatement of all time. She explained that we would come out of this experience born again. It made me think back to watching a recent baptism at our local church. After hearing the pastor say that the lucky folks getting baptized would emerge from the water new people because they would have left the negative hurt and pain from the past in the water, I had a twinge of desire to have that experience for myself. And how ironic that I told my husband that I couldn't even imagine dunking myself in a tub of water, outdoors, in September, in Maine, because I would freeze. Ha! That would have been the easiest thing in the world compared to the hell I went through. Instead of a quick dip in the tub, this ceremony required me to go through the fiery pits of hell and come close to death. Well, at least it felt like I was on the brink of death. But boy, let me tell you, it was powerful and it worked. I'm going to struggle a bit to put this experience into words, but let me try. This ancient Temazcal ritual is deeply rooted in Mesoamerican tradition, and it's all about healing, purification, and connection to the earth. And when I say healing, it goes much deeper than physical healing. This ceremony is designed to heal the body, mind, emotions, and spirit. It was positively fascinating to hear the words the shaman spoke, through a translator, of course. After nearly a decade of me studying and learning everything I could about the human body from an energetic and electromagnetic standpoint, I realized that I've only begun to scratch the surface of the knowledge about health, healing, and the cosmos. What I wouldn't give to be able to sit and converse one-on-one with this shaman. Now, I wish I could have transcribed all that was said, but here is the basic premise of what took place. A small group of people entered into a stone igloo-style hut. This special hut is meant to represent the womb of Mother Earth, hence the rebirthing upon exiting. We sat on the floor around a large fire pit. Inside this fire pit, Hot, molten, burning stones were placed, and then the shaman performed ceremonial rituals that included a special selection of different plant medicines that were placed on the burning stones along with water. The entire hut fills with steam and aromas of these medicines. There's a lot of chanting, praying, drumming, and other impossible to describe things happening, all while we sit in the darkest dark I have ever experienced in my life. And if I thought the extreme dark, the extreme close quarters to strangers, or the extreme discomfort of my bony body trying to sit on this stone floor for over 2 hours was bad, that was nothing compared to the incredibly intense heat. Holy cow! Nothing can prepare you for how hot it will get inside one of these huts. Your only job is to maintain a special breathing pattern to help regulate your body and your nervous system. Only problem was that inhaling through your nose was incredibly uncomfortable due to the burning sensations and the fear that your nostril hairs would actually ignite. We were told we needed to pass through 4 gates to complete this ceremony. The first one was meant to heal the physical body, and it related to the element of earth. When they shut the door and everything goes pitch black, it takes less than 5 seconds for every pore to explode and sweat begin to pour out of your body. I concentrated on setting my intention to heal my physical body, and I imagined all sorts of toxins pouring through my sweat. I tried to visualize the quality of my blood improving, my heart getting stronger, my bone density increasing, etc. These are some of the things that I've been working on. We also were instructed to say out loud the names of our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and as many people in our lineage as we knew. This was part of the ancestral healing. We carry a lot of physical and emotional elements from one generation to the next in something called miasms. And this portion of the ceremony was meant to break that cycle. We had no idea how long each gate would last, and thank goodness they opened that door in between gates. I was so proud that I endured what I thought was the most challenging and most uncomfortable thing I've ever done. And when I heard the translator explain that this first gate was the coldest gate, I knew I was in trouble. There was no way I could have heard that correctly. I felt like it was over 500 degrees in this hut. The translator explained that because the medicines used during this gate were mint, the air felt much colder than the other 3 gates to come. Oh, and each gate gets hotter. I have to admit, I was ready to get up and bolt right then and there. But I stuck it out. Next, it was time for the second gate, which related to the element of water and was meant to heal the emotional body. More molten, burning rocks were brought in, the door shuts again, and immediately the shaman starts throwing water, not only on the burning rocks, creating intense heat and steam, but also throwing water on us. It was a wild ride for sure. This time we were instructed to say out loud all the negative emotions that we wanted to release. I wish I could explain what the acoustics were like in this hut. Everything was magnified, but what seemed like 100 times. With everybody talking all at once, it was very eerie and super loud. But then the drums started and other instruments, and at one point it gets so loud I thought my stomach would explode. And finally, that door opened again, and I could barely see a flicker of light from the nearby fire through the extremely thick, smoky steam. After just 2 gates, people were already starting to drop out, but I was holding strong, and I was never so proud of myself. But next to come was the fire gate, meant to heal the spirit, and I knew this would not be an easy gate. And that would be another understatement. Holy hell, I don't think I can even explain this gate because it was all I could do to stop myself from passing out. I don't remember much other than trying not to self-combust and trying to protect my ears from the loudest of the drummings and chantings and also protect my face from melting off. Luckily, the translator did give us a very handy tip that instructed us to lay down if we really couldn't handle it. I'm not ashamed to say I had to lay down, and it's the only thing that got me through the hell gate. Fire gate. And lastly, we had to go through the air gate, which was meant to heal the mental body. But honestly, after getting through that fire gate, I thought I could walk on burning coals or walk through a brick wall or do anything else that might have scared me or I thought was impossible. I don't think anything would have fazed me at that point. When that door opened for the last time, there are no words to describe the intense relief. I could not have gotten out of there fast enough. It was over. Finally, I did it. But wait, there was one more small step to take. Upon exiting the hut, they poured a bucket of water over each of our heads. And for anybody that knows me, I wasn't 100% sure what was worse: the intense heat and the near-death experience inside that hut, or what felt like ice-cold water being poured over my head. I wish I could describe the intense sense of accomplishment and empowerment that I felt walking home that night after my rebirth. I crawled into bed after a much-needed shower and gallon of hydration, and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that something shifted in me. And I will explain more about that next week, so please stay tuned. And if anybody listening to this is so intrigued to learn more or wants to know exactly where I did this, I will leave a link to the Airbnb experience in the show notes. If you are ever in the Playa del Carmen area of Mexico and you truly want a life-changing experience, I would highly recommend it. If you enjoyed taking this wild ride with me and want to continue to follow my journey to personal healing, please consider subscribing to this podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and remember that everything is energy. If you can shift your energy, you can change your life. And in some cases, it can happen overnight.